Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Poliglotar. And now we have a talk by Claudio Pereira about the Harvard method of negotiation. And I wish you a very nice presentation.
Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here this morning, presenting to you this knowledge that really changed my life upside down. And that's why I'm here. So, great morning, and let's check the presentation. I believe negotiation is something that we all do every day and every time, right? So it's really important for all of us to know the method and the tactics as this one. So let's see the first one. Okay, so we're going to check here the Harvard negotiation method. It's really simple, right? I've been there learning this methodology, and since that time, it really changed my life. So it's something important here is that you have to face it not as something complicated, but something simple. But when you learn something, there's a phrase in English that say, practice makes perfect. You have to practice all the time, these techniques, okay? So first of all, I'd like to present myself to you as a professional, okay? So my name is Claudio. I have some academic and professional experience. And my academic experience, I've been through PUC-Rio, for example, Embassy in New York, IBMEC, ESPN, FGV, UFRJ, Stasio, the Council of Administration in Rio, and also Harvard Law School, where I learned this content here about negotiation leadership. In my professional experience, I've been through many different sectors as the law sector, electrical, pharmaceutical industry, transportation and logistics, education as well, oil and gas, insurance, and fitness. And as I was talking to my friend over there, we all have multiple talents. So, as I'm, sorry. Yeah, okay. I'm nowadays a multi-franchise businessman, interpreter from Portuguese and English, translator, teacher, consultant, panelist that I'm doing right now, a musician as well, administrator, auditor, and writer. I believe in 3 months my book will be released. The book will be called Be Multiple, where I can teach people how to do all of these things that I've done through the last 25 years of my career. Okay, it's possible, okay? And it's not crazy. I live with my family. I have 2 kids and I travel with them. It's possible. It's not a crazy life, right? Okay, so because of that result, I've been invited to many TV programs, to universities all over the world. And there's something that I have to tell you here. It's about opportunities, right? Always when you have an opportunity, it goes in front of you. And if you don't take it, someone else will take it in your place, right? So if you're not secure to do that thing, you got to be confident and believe that you are able to do this. I have an example here that some time ago, the TV Global invited me to do a cooking program that is live called it's Saturday Morning Educasa, right? And they invited me, nothing to do with what I do, it's a hobby, right? But actually I'm a chef as well. But they invited me to do a cooking program live. And then at the first time I thought, well, I'm not going to accept this because, you know, there are some other people that will be better than me. But then I said, no, that's an opportunity, I'll take it. And then I took it. And let's see what happens because I took that opportunity.
Gente, calma. Delícia esse estrogonofe.
Eu discordo, não tá bom não. Tá maravilhoso. Tá muito bom, cara.
Uma delícia, uma delícia.
Okay, so after this program, many companies, yes. Okay, after this program, many people all over the world started to invite me to open companies related to gastronomy. And then I decided to open a school where I teach chefs how to do better plates every day. So let's go to the main course, which is negotiation issues. Let's see some things here. We have some words here about the negotiation. You can see, like, for example, it's a process of persuading people to give us what we want. And I would like you to think what of the three ones are the most correct, okay? The second is, it's a kind of communication to make a decision together, or it's a way to get an agreement through dialogue. What about now? What do you think is the best one of these three ones?
Negotiation?
Yeah, what's the best definition?
The second one?
The first, the second,
Sure.
the third? Yes, actually, all of them are correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. All of them are correct, okay? The thing here is that your purpose is to get something that you thought before through dialogue. Doesn't matter if it's a person, if it's a company, if it's in the court. So you have to reach your goal, okay? Right? One more?
One more?
Yes. And there's something in this methodology that we call the BATNA. And what is the BATNA? Is, as we're seeing here, the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. And what is exactly this one? Before you go to a negotiation, you have to think, well, and if the other part do not accept my agreement, what will I do? You must have a plan B, C, D, and E, right? Because you cannot lose your time. So if you go there, you have to get what you want, or plan B or C. So the BATNA is, before you go, you have to create some alternatives, okay? Not to get out of the negotiation with empty hands, right? Okay, so don't forget, that's not Batman, right? It's Batman. Okay, don't confuse this. All right. So José Carlos Martins, which is one great writer about negotiation, he always says, in negotiation, never get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. So don't think that people will have pity on you. They won't, right? You have to know what you want before going to the table of negotiation, right? And you get what you deserve, or better, what you negotiate. Okay. Well, here I brought to you a little bit about a movie. The movie is called Erin Brockovich, where we have Julia Roberts. She got the Oscar in 2001 as the best actress with this movie. And here you can see some things that you must have before going into a negotiation, okay? And I have to explain you a little. I don't know if you have seen this movie before. Yeah? Yeah? Very good one, right? And in this movie, she was a lawyer, and she was fighting for the people of a city who was having some illness because an industry was polluting a river, and these people were consuming this water and getting lots of illness. Okay, so let's check what she got for us.
Here.
Jesus. They look like the Secret Service.
Intimidation. Let the games begin. Show them into the conference room. Donald, Anna, I want to talk to you for a minute. Counselors?
Counselors? Let's be honest here. $20 million is more money than these people have ever dreamed of.
Oh, see, now that pisses me off. First of all, since the demur, we have more than 400 plaintiffs in. Let's be honest. We all know there are more out there. They may not be the most sophisticated people, but they do know how to divide, and $20 million isn't shit when you split it between them.
Aaron.
Second of all, these people don't dream about being rich. They dream about being able to watch their kids swim in a pool without worrying that they'll have to have a hysterectomy at the age of 20, like Rosa Diaz, a client of ours, or have their spine deteriorate like Stan Bloom, another client of ours. So before you come back here with another lame-ass offer, I want you to think real hard about what your spine is worth, Mr. Walker. Or what you might expect someone to pay you for your uterus, Miss Sanchez. Then you take out your calculator and you multiply that number by 100. Anything less than that is a waste of our time. By the way, we had that water brought in special for you folks. Came from Well and Hinckley.
I think this meeting's over.
Damn right it is.
Well, she really deserved that Oscar, right? Was very good. Well, in this movie, in this period, we can see some things about negotiation which are very important. Can you tell me what did you see here? What is important before going to a negotiation like that? Anything?
I guess to know what you want.
Yes, sure. You have to know what you want before, right? Good. What else? Confidence. Yes. You saw that she was very secure about what she wanted. Okay. And what else? The details. Did you see that she knew her clients very well, every situation, you know, and she was really confident, as my friend said, about what she wanted. And she had a price, she had a number in her mind, you know. They offered a number, they said, she said, no, that's ridiculous. You have to calculate this and put this 100 more, right? Okay, so now we're going to check the 4 Harvard negotiation principles. This is very simple. It's a very simple issue, but you have to practice every time you go into a negotiation first, before, right? So the first one, separate the people from the problem. I believe that many people are always, when they are in a situation of conflict, the majority of people are always looking for the guilty person. Who was the responsible for that? Who did that? But in this methodology, we are saying here that we have to separate the people from the problem. It means that you have to find a solution, right? So if you are in the middle of a situation where you have to solve a problem, you have to focus on the solution. That's how you get success in the situation. I have here an example. Some years ago, I was responsible for doing some negotiation with the unions from the electrical sector. And it was a very hard negotiation because it took like 4 or 5 days. But at that time, we could not focus on that person, that people that were there, because they were really tough guys. But we had to think about the thousands of workers that were there, and they were representing these workers. And then we have to think about that people, not the ones who were here. So that's why you have to separate the people from the problem, right? This is the first one. The second, you have the first one? And then the second. Thank you. The second is focus on interest, not position. I put here an image of an iceberg because it's usually what you see when you are in negotiation is the top of the iceberg. But you have to ask and talk to the other part to find out what is hidden in the other part of the iceberg. You have to know what is the real purpose of the person who's there. You have to know the goals, and you must have in advance your number, right? And I also put here an orange because there is a story who said that 2 kids were fighting for one simple orange, and then one girl got this, and the other boy was crying. And then the father arrived and asked to the boy, "What do you want with the orange?" And then he said, "I want to make a cake with the peel." And then he went to the girl, and "What do you want with the orange?" And they said, "I want a juice." And then if they had talked before, they would solve the problem because one wanted one thing and the other another thing. So that's why I bring this example here. Always try to find out what is hidden in the person that you're talking to, right? Don't consider what you see, because what you see is not really what it is. Third one, objective criteria. Here you have to negotiate not price, but value, okay? For example, I was teaching in a course of interpreters, and then it was online, and then I got my ring and I put it inside of my hand and I said, okay, can you make a number to this? I'm selling this, which is inside of my hand. Can you name a number to this? And then they were like saying 10, 20, 100, 1,000. And then when I showed them my ring, I said, it's priceless. It's my family. I'll never sell them. So you cannot sell what you can't see. You have to know this before, right? Makes no sense. So don't sell price, sell value, right? And you have to know the price that you have before you go to a negotiation. You also must know very well your service, because you're selling this, you're negotiating a price for this. Also, the market that you work and the payment. Usually, for example, in the interpreter market, you don't receive the payment in the following day, right? Usually receiving 15, 30, even 60 sometimes, 60 days. Then you have to know this in advance, right? It's better. And then options for mutual gain. I have two examples here to show you how to get into this mutual gain. The first one, I have companies. For example, I have an academy called Dr. Fit. It's a franchise company. And I was looking for a business address near in a neighborhood called Vila da Penha. And then I really wanted to put this business in a street called Avenida Oliveira Belo, which everybody is always running and walking, but there was no place to rent. And I needed a wide space without any column, as this space here, so as the clients could do their exercises. And I found a building that was renting, okay? But it was the whole building. But then I entered. Okay, then I watched it. When I stepped into the first room, I saw my company over there in the first floor. But we had two more floors, right? And my budget was at that time 3,000, and the rent was 22,000. Impossible, right? Okay. But then thinking about this strategy, I said, well, and what if I present to the owner a mutual gain proposal? And then I went back home and I planned divided rent, where he could divide that building into many parts. He would have less risk because it would not be just one owner. And then he would get more money than what he wanted for the whole building. And the following day, I presented this plan to him. And then he said, why didn't I think about it before? And I said, because you have to rent this one for me. Yeah. And then in the next one, we got there, we launched our company, and we are working there for 5 years. So you have to think about that before, right? Okay, another one is in a time that I was teaching English in some companies, I had a student that he really wanted me to give him a discount, right? And then I said, no, I don't give any discount. This is my price. And then we're like trying to get into a solution. And then I said, okay, let's drink a coffee. Let's go to a coffee and let's talk about something else. And then I found out that he was a butcher. Okay. And as you saw, I like to cook, but at that time I didn't know how to cut meat. And then I said, well, I have an idea. What if we change classes? I teach you English one day, and then you teach me how to cut meat the other day. And I said, well, perfect. I love to do this. And then we got into an arrangement again about the mutual solution for us, right? So you have to use creativity, and when you're not getting to a solution, bring mutual gains. Well, here I got for you another video, which is amazing. Two great actors, George Clooney and John Malkovich, about an espresso negotiation. Let's take a look at this.
Hello, George. Where am I? Make an educated guess. Oh, it must be a mistake. We don't make mistakes. Ever. See, it's not my time. Maybe we could make an arrangement. Has to be the coffee maker, huh? I got a Porsche. You know, it's a speedster. It's black. It's convertible. Lovely. We don't drive here. You know, I have a house in Lake Como. Uh-huh. Have you ever been to Lake Como? Yes, I have. It's pretty, isn't it? Beautiful. And this house is beautiful lawn and a swimming pool. And there are people that also come with it. Mm-hmm. We have people, too. So, you wouldn't trade for anything else? No. Here, then. Enjoy. An espresso. What else?
That's a great example of negotiation. Yeah, that's a great example of negotiation, and these are two huge actors, I love them. So here you see there are some situations that are really hard to negotiate, right? Then you have sometimes you have to let it go, right? Okay, so now let's check some negotiation models. Can go another one? Yeah, good. We have here competitive and cooperative. In the past, the first one was the best one, the lose-win condition. For example, if I had to negotiate with Juliano, for example, I would press him to give me the lower price as the lowest possible price for the product he's selling to me, right? But now we are thinking about a relational negotiation, because if I do this nowadays, I will only negotiate with him once. But now I have to think about the other months, the other transactions that we have. And now we are thinking about the cooperative negotiation, which is a win-win situation, right? So I have an example here to show you some lose-win. Here I was acting as an interpreter for the president, and then we went to a naval base where they have a submarine that would be launched in the sea. And we received the program in advance. We studied all the vocabulary, and it was really okay to do this job. But then all of a sudden, the president decided to go into the submarine to know it, to know the interior of this, and it wasn't the plan, right? And then I said, well, what do we have to do? And then my colleagues was crazy about that. And then I said, okay, let's negotiate. And then I called a commander and said, well, if you show me someone that really knows the interior and the name of the things over there, we can do this. And then I said, well, maybe it's impossible. We have to talk to someone else on. And then I said, well, take me to him. And then I got to this guy and said, if you do this, you know, that's the president. We have to do this. We have to make an arrangement right here. And then I said, okay, so I'll go with you. And then we went there and everything went okay. But at that time was a win-win situation, right? Because the president was satisfied, we were satisfied, and the Navy as well. And I also have a lose-win situation. In this picture, I'm in a very important event here in Rio called Rio to See. It's a creativity and innovation event. Every year we have this. And we were inside of the booth, and all of a sudden, a crowd invaded the room. And you know that it's really good to see the stage when you are inside the booth, right? But there were, like, I don't know, many people in front, including in front of the booth, and I could not see the stage. And then I went outside, looking for a security guy, and said, can you help us, because we are not seeing the stage? And then I said, well, I really would love to help you, but in this case, it's impossible. Then I said, why? What's happened here? Someone There's a guy that entered into this room that, you know, look at him and then check who was there. Kawan Hammond. Impossible to negotiate with this situation. And then I said, well, okay, let it go. There was a lose-win situation. I really lost in that case. And then it went out well. Well, a good negotiation has no winners. You have to think about that. When you go to a negotiation, don't never think about winning. Think about getting to what you want, but then thinking about the other part as well. All right, now we have some negotiation process. I'm going to show you here some things that you have to do before going to any kind of negotiations, right? It's a method that if you follow, you have great result as I did. Let's check the first one. Preparation, you have to identify your interests, set your partner, okay, and understand your customer. I put in here an example of about a passenger. I worked for many years for a company, a Brazilian company called Varig Airlines. Do you remember this company? Any here? Yeah, Varig Airlines. Yeah, for 8 years. So when I was there, I had a passenger that came from Barcelona that he had some shoes inside of his luggage. And his number was something around 50 or 51. Imagine that. It's like really big one. And someone stole his shoes inside of the baggage. And then we were negotiating there and said, well, I just want the price of that shoe for me to buy another one. But at that time, the politics of the company was not about the price of the issue, but about the weight. And then if you compare this, it's a low price you have to pay to him. And then we didn't get to an agreement. And of course, he went to the court. And after he got the court, he got around, imagine that that shoes was $100. And he got like 3,000 at the court, right? But you see, just for you to know how important it is to get into agreement. When we were negotiating there, we had a situation where we had the people and we became friends, really, because we were trying many, many times to solve the problem. And then when he got the money from the court, he called me and said, I want a meeting with you. Then I said, okay. And then he said, well, remember in the beginning of the negotiation that I only wanted the price, the exactly value to buy back my shoes? And I said, yes. Then he said, well, I know that you have a foundation, so I want to donate 2,900 for you back. Imagine my situation in that case. So it's really important when you get into an agreement before facing this kind of situation. Yulia and Yuri say that people negotiate to a better result than if they didn't negotiate. William Yuri is a writer. He has many books about negotiation. One famous one is How to Get to Yes, which I really advise you to read if you want to go further to negotiation issues. Create value, sell before the price. As I said, you have to know your value before, and then after many other things, you show the price and create more value. Here we have Aristotle Onassis, who said in a book, no one will ever pay you more than what you ask for. Sometimes you think that the people will offer you something fair enough, but most of the time it won't be, you know? For example, I have a question for the audience. Do you believe that you get money nowadays, you receive what you deserve? You see, that's the question, you know? But what do you really deserve? Do you know it? Do you have a number in your mind to say that, well, this is okay for me? The majority of people do not have this. So if you don't have this, how will you conquer it? You know, that's one of the most important principles of negotiation. Distribute value, communicate securely. If you're selling something, even if it's a product or a service, you have to be confident. Imagine if you ask me about my service, and then I say, well, wait a moment, let me look for the information. I get lots of papers to look for the information. You're done, okay? You must be secure. You must know every little detail about what you're selling. Build trust. The first thing when you are in front of a salesman is what your second boss think, which is, he's going to convince me to buy something and double the price, isn't it? You don't trust them. So the first thing you have to do is to build trust, is to bring the client to you. When you bring him to you, you are able to sell anything, right? And set standards. There is an example here, another passenger that I had a negotiation. He was coming from a country from Europe, and he bought some towels for the wedding of his daughter. And of course, this towels disappeared. Someone stole his luggage. And I was negotiating with him, and this towels was really expensive. But I couldn't afford that price. And then we were talking, and at that time, do you know a beer? Of course, I believe you know a beer called Corona. Yes? Yeah. But nowadays, we can buy this in every supermarket. But at that time, it was really rare here in Brazil and really expensive. But I thought, well, we have airplanes all over the world. Maybe I could bring this to Brazil. And then I invited him and said, well, I cannot give you back your towels, your precious towels. But what if I could bring some Corona beer for your party, for the wedding? What do you think? And then he said, do you really can do that? And I said, well, it's something that we can do. Are you interested? And then I said, I don't believe you can do that, because it was a lover of beers, right? And then I bought that. It was half of the price, and he was really surprised and happy at the end of the story. So distribute value is something really important. And Richard Shell says, no agreement negotiation occurs when the other part consider that your proposal is below their expectations. So you must find the balance between what you're thinking and what the other part is thinking, right? Implementation, be flexible, improve the relationship, and confirm the proposal. Well, this is something very important. For example, when I'm selling services in my companies, when I'm talking to a client, for example, we are here spending like 10, 20, sometimes 30 minutes about the process of selling services. And at the end, I tell him to go to the reception to pay or anything else, to sign the contracts. But before going to the reception, I have to confirm, because we had some previous conversation about 30 minutes. We said many things, right? And when he gets there, he may be confused. So we have to confirm, what is the plan? What's the price? How will you pay? What is the service? Okay, so this is very important. And improve the relationship, as I said, because it sometimes, well, I believe most of the times, when you're negotiating to someone, you want to have more negotiations in the future, right? Okay. And here are some 7 elements for good negotiations. We have the first one, which is interest. Expose your motivations, your needs. Sometimes you have to find, remember the story of the orange, you have to find what is in the other side to get into a mutual gain. Set your priorities, use your empathy. What does he need? And check common and conflict spots. Here I got a good example, the Virgo sale. I was once selling to someone in one of my company, and this client went through an experience time, and then she came to me, and we were talking, and I saw in the paper that she wrote about her profession that she was a translator. I said, well, we got something in common. That's perfect. And then we started conversation. She said, I asked her, are you a translator? And then she said, yeah. And then I said, did you went to the Bratius Congress last year? And then all of a sudden she stopped and started staring at me and said, I know you. You did a lecture about negotiations over there. And I was the translator. I was an interpreter. And then I thought to myself, done. We got a negotiation here, because when you got something in common, it's okay. It's you know, you don't have to do anything else. Just think, but you have to know in advance the number that you want to offer to the client, right? So now we are friends, and she's also my client in my company, right? Good. Number 2, alternatives, special value. Who doesn't like a promotion here, right? We have to think this in advance. What will be the discount that you give in your negotiation? Second, to give up Sometimes you have to give up. For example, we have just seen here George Clooney negotiation. He had to give up about the coffee machine, right? No way. And what do you have off the table? You must use your creativity, right, to bring the solution sometimes. I had here some other example. I was negotiating with the client from the company Philips when I worked with intellectual property. And then we were almost getting to an end of negotiation, was almost signed the contract. And then he said, well, one of my dreams is to watch Flamengo in Maracanã playing. And Flamengo was playing that night. It was like 5 o'clock p.m. And then I said, the first thought that I had was impossible to get a ticket for that right now because the game was in 2 hours. But then I said, well, let me check. And then I checked the number of the contract was like millions. And then I said, well, it's worth it. Let's go. And then I went, I found a solution and I really bought a ticket and I got him into the American and he signed a contract for 5 years. So you have to think about some other solutions. What you have off the table always, right? Okay. Options, different ways of mutual satisfaction. Remember, it's a win-win situation. Okay. So you have to find solution that is good for both of the parties. User creativity and partial agreement. Sometimes you have to give up of what you thought and maybe do some partial agreements to have a good result of that negotiation. Legitimacy. Is the proposal fair enough? And can you deliver what you promised? And this is really important. Don't beat around the bush. Go straight to the point, right? If you want something, you have to put on the table and tell the reason why. And this is very important. For example, when I am acting to my company, which is a fitness company, I'm there to help people to get quality of life. So I always tell this to my clients because they understand that I'm there not for the money. I'm there to help people, and that's my purpose. So when you tell this, you go straight to the point, and then they believe it, and you get trust, you get confidence, and you get into a final agreement. Commitment. Do they have the authority to fulfill what they agree? Because sometimes you're negotiating to someone, and you have a lot of work to do that negotiation. Then at the end, the person say, well, I have to talk to my husband, and then I'll come back to you. And then you waste your time, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to check if this person has the authority to solve the problem. And what would be the guarantees? Usually we have a contract considering services or products, so it's important to have one, right? 6, relationship. Was the relationship good? Because as I said, it's not only one negotiation. You have many others in the future. So you have to create a good relationship with your suppliers and clients. Build trust, again. Do not compromise future negotiations, because sometimes when you get into a price, for example, that is good for me, it's not good for him, he goes out of here thinking, I will never negotiate to this guy again, you know? So you have to think about the future negotiations. And 7, communication. What does the customer know about you? And also, what do you know about the customer? Nowadays, we have several ways to check the client previously. For example, if you watch a simple picture on WhatsApp, you can see some information. For example, if you're wearing, what's her name, please? Letitia. If you're wearing red, she's telling me something here that she's not shy, because shy people may not use red, but sometimes you have to add many characters so as you can get into an information of someone. You can go to the social networks, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and you check the information before meeting the person, or check the information of the company if it's going to be a negotiation with a company, right? Know the reason why. There's an author called Simon Sinek who has a book called Know Why. You have to know why you're doing something like that, right? For example, why are you a translator now? Why are you being an interpreter? Why are you doing that negotiation? You have to know the real reason of what you're doing. Good. Okay.
let's finish everything in 10 minutes tops.
Okay, good. So here we have some difficult negotiation. Usually we have three main factors, which are difficult people. I believe that you're thinking about some people right now in your mind. Difficulties created by the other party and difficulties created by the situation. And I brought a little video here just to show you sometimes what we think in our mind, what we are forbidden to do. Let's check.
You did say 10 o'clock, right?
Yeah. Do you know what this is about?
I just said staff meeting on the memo.
It's funny how he gets all over my ass if I'm a minute late, but then he makes us wait 15.
You were 2 minutes late, Nick.
Morning.
And I didn't think I had to punch a clock with you.
You don't, sorry.
That's all right. I'll just attribute this to your drinking problem.
Yeah, I don't have
Nick, please, we're in the middle of a meeting.
Sorry.
Morning, everyone. So, I have finally decided who I want to be our new senior vice president of sales. He's right here in this room. It's me.
What do you think?
I've decided to absorb the responsibilities of the senior VP position into my own. I've realized that if you want to get something done right, you've got to do it yourself. So I'm going to be breaking through the wall of the office that would have been the senior VP's and make one huge, enormous office. However, I will only be taking 85% of the additional salary I'm entitled to, and that is self-sacrifice, people. Learn from fucker!
Fucking son of a bitch! So fucking fired!
So, meeting adjourned.
That's really what happens in our minds, right? When we have some difficult people in front of us. Okay. Next point is negotiator profiles. So here you have to find yourself in these 4 profiles to see what you are, and it's also important to check what the other party is. Okay, you have the innovative one, which are people who are always trying to bring new solutions, new things. Okay, this is a really easy profile to work with. And you also have the supporter, is someone who do not want to be in the front chair, but he wants to help you with data and technology and all these things. You have the dominant, which is like, the truth is mine. What I say is the truth, right? So this is sometimes difficult, but if you know this in advance, there are some ways to deal with this kind of people. And you also have the analytical, the one who likes the information, the statistics, all the things I want to do first. He's usually insecure before doing the things. He has to study and study many times before going to a negotiation. Okay, and we also have negotiation tactics, strategies. You must have your strategies before going to a negotiation table. You also have to think about your margin. What would be discounts, for example, that you give? The anchoring, what is the price that is on your mind before you go to a negotiation? The good guy and bad guy methodology, which you have 2 people you can combine previously, who will be the good one and the bad one. Concession and discount. Do you know that shopping on the 3rd is the best day to shop? You know, because usually the sales department have some goals, and when they do not reach the individual goals, in the 30th, they will fight for the team goal, and then they will have more discount than you ever seen, right? And the ethics, of course, you don't have to negotiate accepting bribes or something like this. Well, and everybody asked me, well, how was the experience of Harvard? Going there was amazing, was something that really changed my mind. I went there with 15 executives from Brazil, and we spent some time there negotiating with people all over the world. So here you can see the campus, you can see what we did over there. There were round tables every day with different issues. You have to study really hard every day. lots of things to work. In the first day that I was there, when I got into the campus, I went into my room and there was like this books and papers. And then I thought to myself, I asked it to the counselor, well, this is for the whole course, and then said, no, this is for tomorrow. Wake up, do you know where you are? And then say, well, so every day we receive that bunch of materials to read. This is John Harvard. They said that if you touch his foot, you get his intelligence. I hope I did it. Yeah. And this is the initial, the beginning of the program. The campus that goes in the movie, the round tables of negotiation, and the people that were there with me, the 15 lucky ones. It was really good. Huh?
When was it?
It was in 2017. 2017. Okay, so here are the final information. I put here into a coffee because we will always have time to drink a coffee. So if you want to contact me, in the next one will be my contact. I'm always able to talk and teach people because I know to share knowledge is very important. Okay, so here I have some potential phrases like value what is important, think about the next level, and reach extraordinary results, dream big, and the world is yours, conquer it. As I'm showing you here that I've been through the whole world, and I hope you do this too through the knowledge that you have. Okay, it's possible. And these are my contacts. So people, thank you very much for congratulations.
Hello. Thank you so much, Claudio, for this excellent talk. Very informative and makes us think a lot. And do we have questions? Leticia, please.
Well, it's not a question. It's just like to say that it was amazing. I loved it so much. I learned a lot. And I'm already like thinking about new ways to improve myself, And probably we are going to talk later. I'm going to contact you because I really like the way you talk and I like the experience and all the information that you gave us here. And it for sure will help me in my life and to help others as well. So, congratulations.
Please. Also liked it a lot, and I want to be in contact with you. Maybe we can drink the coffee together. Yeah. So I want to ask you very fastly, what are the difference for you negotiating with Brazilians and negotiating with people from other countries? The main differences.
Well, of course, people from other countries have cultures, right? But what is something that's really important that I saw between Brazilian and the others is that Brazilian love things, and people from abroad love what the thing costs you. For example, Brazilian guys love cars, so they spend the whole Sunday washing the car, taking care of the car and all this. And the American, for example, they do not care about the car. They say, well, the car has to take me from point A to point B. That's it. Doesn't matter what kind of car it is. If it's clean or dirty, doesn't matter. So this is one important point when you're talking to people from abroad.
I also have a question. In the beginning of my career as a translator and interpreter, I did not know the price that people were practicing. So I believe that I was charging less than what I deserved. And after a few years, and also talking to people, going to congresses, we hear things, we hear what people charge. And what can we do in the beginning not to be so naive about price?
Okay. Well, I can tell you about my experience. When I began as an interpreter, I was in the same situation as you said. I didn't know how to enter into the market. I didn't know the prices from the other professions. And what did I do? I went to the market. I went to many events that I wasn't working, but sometimes I paid to enter into this just for people to see me. And then I had the opportunity to drink coffee, and then I said, well, how much you're charging for the service? And then I got into this we call this barriers in the beginning, right, of the profession. So what I can tell is that you have to be seen. So go to the places where what's happening, right?